The Michigan Ultras holding the Michigan Letter Winners Club banner from the football team right after warm-ups. A great way to start. And after they did it, they walked right by the Big Bear, which they'd like to keep right here in Ann Arbor. Right now it belongs to the Spartans. Speaking of the Spartans, let's take a look at their starting lineup, Paul.
Just a ton of solid players in midfield for Michigan State, but it's led by number 10, Giuseppe Baroni, the sophomore, reigning Big Ten Freshman of the Year. This is a guy that Coach Damon Rensing feels is one of the best attacking center midfielders in the country. It's going to start with him and first-team All-Big Ten forward Ryan Sierkowski up top.
And the Michigan Wolverines under the direction of Shaka Daly.
Well, they've got a freshman starting at number 6 for the first time under Shaka Daly, Mark Ibarra. You can see the talent across the back line, including Marcelo Borges, a guy who's coming out of the Red Bulls Academy. And up top, keep an eye on Umar Farouk Osman. He steps into the starting lineup in place of Francis Atuahene. We'll see what he's capable of for the young freshman in this moment.
And our State Farm State of Success. Both these teams come in undefeated and ranked. The first meeting with both teams ranked in the coaches poll. Michigan State at 6 and Michigan at 18. Damon Rensing, now it's more than half of his life. It used to be almost half his life, but now more than half of his life has been spent at Michigan State as a player, an assistant coach, or the head coach. This guy bleeds the Spartan green.
He's been involved in every single Big Bear contest that's out there, and you know he wants to keep that trophy with his team this year. He's got to be happy with the way they've started the season defensively.
The baby-faced assassin, Robbie Mertz, scoring that goal against Indiana in the tie. The junior now wearing the captain's armband, former Pennsylvania High School Player of the Year. And Shaka Daly. Big season for Shaka Daly. Great success as a player and then a coach at his alma mater, Providence. Felt like he had to change the culture at Michigan. The record right down the middle, but boy, they're turning the tables this year at 4 wins and 2 ties, including tying the #1 team in the country at the time, Indiana.
Yeah, big result on the road for Shaka Daly's crew to get that draw in Indiana. You know, he just keeps building and building this program. 9 players have made their debut this season for Michigan, but it doesn't feel like this is an inexperienced squad. They've got a lot of guys that were involved last year, and he just keeps bringing in more talent that he can put into this side that especially up top, that we'll see threatening here today.
Sold out University of Michigan Soccer Stadium. The Michigan Ultras, the student-run fan base, out in full force. They've been active in social media all week as well. Not gonna be able to find a seat in a moment. Be standing room only on a beautiful day in Ann Arbor. Throw in for Michigan State. There's Sierkowski. Just that penalty kick goal to show for his season, but Damon Rensing expects him to get going. 9 goals and 5 assists last year, part of an all Big Ten season for Sierkowski. Here's Jones playing with all kinds of confidence. Talked to him yesterday at practice and said, hey, you've been the super sub last couple years. Was that making you mad? He said, I'll do whatever it takes to help my team win games, and if it means starting now, he'll do it.
Well, Damon Rensing knows DeJuan Jones right now is the hot hand, a hot foot coming off of a 2-goal performance earlier this season. He's really feeling it, and when you see a player with that kind of confidence, you put him in the starting lineup, you trust him to give you that kind of effort from the start and see if you can keep those goals coming.
3 goals and 1 assist for the reigning Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week, wearing number 6. Elementary education major, wants to keep playing professionally, but if not, like to settle in as a coach, either at a high school or a college, obviously a soccer coach. Here's the new man in the pipes, Andrew Verdi. Evan Morrow left early, and Verdi comes in. He's been extremely good. Perhaps nobody better, though, than Michigan State's goalkeeper. Show Jimmy Hag in just a little bit. Right now, Michigan State, middle of the field. A couple of Ann Arbor, Michigan natives running the middle of the park for Michigan. Tristan Jacob and Mark Ibarra, senior and freshman respectively, both grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, now playing for the Wolverines. That's pretty special.
Oh, you've got to believe that's got to be something pretty neat for anyone to grow up in the community, represent the school that you grew up around. And I think early on here, just in the first couple minutes, we've seen some sloppy touches. That's to be expected in a rivalry game like this, right? The emotions are high. There's a great atmosphere. The pace of this game is going to start off pretty quick. And at some point, these teams are going to try to settle in, calm those emotions, start to get a hold of the game a little bit more. I expect to see Michigan State pressing high early on against this Michigan backline. Michigan likes to go a little bit more direct at times. They certainly want the emotion to stay high as they're feeding off of this home crowd.
Too long for Michigan State. This field a little bit smaller. The Michigan Ultras, loud and proud here in Ann Arbor. Big football win yesterday here in Michigan over Air Force, and a lot of people staying around for the soccer game. They had a field hockey game, Michigan and Michigan State, on Friday night in Ann Arbor as well. It was Michigan 6, Michigan State 0. Perfect day. If anything, it's just a little hot, but for the most part, ideal situation. There's Hallahan. Jack Hallahan, outstanding freshman campaign. No whistle on Jones. Borges, he's a right-footed left back, but he is a very good player. Sent back in, far side. Stevens, the right back. And there's Jimmy Haig. He's allowed 1 goal in 6 games. This after a .83 goals against average. Phenomenal season. Now, he hasn't practiced all week due to back spasms, and they weren't sure he was even going to go.
I'll tell you what, this is something he's used to, though. Didn't practice all of last season due to a labrum injury, and yet he lined up every single week in goal when the games came down to it. So no practice, no problem for Jimmy Haig.
Yeah, Jimmy Haig then had shoulder surgery in the off-season, so it was Philip Stair and Hunter Morse that were in the pipes for all the spring games. Jimmy Haig did not play a second in the spring games. That was Umar Farouk Osman, the National High School Player of the Year, getting the start. Francis Atuahene been bothered a little bit by an undisclosed injury, although speculate that it's a calf issue that he's been dealing with. Didn't train on Friday in Ann Arbor. There's Jimmy Fiskus, the senior, second team All Big Ten last year, captain.
Well, I can tell you Damon Rensing is happy with what he's seeing here, calming things down, maybe until that moment right there, but calm things down, try to keep the ball, keep possession a little bit, knock it around the back, move Michigan's midfield around, force them to come out and press you a little bit.
Licky. Out of bounds as they try to find the freshman Osman. Look there at Samake, originally from Mali, had a foot injury last year. Part of the Montreal Impact program is 2 new center backs for the Michigan Wolverines. Samake and Makuna, the transfer from Campbell.
A real international flavor to this Michigan team. 5 players in the starting lineup are international players. Everyone's represented. Makuna from the Congo moved to Manchester, England at age 6. Samake from Mali moved to Canada, Montreal Impact Academy player. Ivo Cerda up top, a guy who usually plays in central midfield, Chilean player. Osman from Ghana, Right to Dream Academy player. And Jack Hallahan from England. So Shaka Daly looking all over for that talent.
This will be Connor Corrigan from Fishers, Indiana. Corrigan over the ball with that left foot. Sent into the 18, one bounce. And just a little too strong for John Freitag. Speaking of transfers, Freitag, the transfer from DePaul, from Arlington Heights, Illinois, as the Michigan State Spartans really only losing their right back from a year ago.
It's a good service in here from Corrigan. You want that ball dropping right in between the 6 and the penalty spot. If you're going to go long, you're looking for that back post run where the ball can be served back across into the box. Just a touch long for Freitag to get his foot on the end of it, but I think that was a solid idea there from Corrigan.
That was a good look at Corrigan. Remember, he's from Fishers, Indiana, but here's the deal. The Indiana Hoosiers had this guy named Gutman that had already committed to Indiana. He's a pretty good left back. So Corrigan took a look at Michigan State. If you meet Damon Rensing, then you'd love the guy. He's just fantastic, and said, you know what, I can come in as a freshman and start. And Paul, that's exactly what he's done.
He's a 3-year starter. He's been in almost every game, and Damon Rensing loves him. Why? Because you know what you're going to get out of Connor Corrigan. He's a consistent player at that left back position, and that's a quality that's really important no matter what level you're at. Youth, college, pro. If you can be a consistent performer, a coach is always going to call on you, and that's exactly what Connor Corrigan has been. He gets up and down. He's an industrious player, takes all the left-footed restarts, a really solid left back for Michigan State.
Fans continue to file in here to the University of Michigan Soccer Stadium. There's Pimlott, Michael Pimlott. My broadcast partner, Paul Tenorio, loves his play out of bounds.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Michael Pimlott. I saw him play last year. Just kept things very simple, always made the right decision, very smart. Talking to Damon Rensing, they want him to start off games that way. Calm down, play within yourself, but I just really like his decision making. He's a ball winner. He steps in. He'll be that number 6. He's a kid who comes from the Crew Academy Wolves, and obviously they've got a great number 6 at the Columbus Crew and Will Trapp, but I really like Pimlott. I think I'm eager to see how his game develops over the next couple of years with Michigan State.
Crew Academy Wolves, the Baronis played there, Fiskus, Pimlott, Krolicki, Marky Barra played there from the Michigan Wolverines. These two teams know each other very, very well, not just because of this game, but as you mentioned, Michigan's got a heavy international flavor, but their Michigan kids played with these Michigan State kids.
I mean, that's why these types of games are so fun. I mean, anytime you're playing against your former club teammate, it ups the ante a little bit. I'm sure the text message chains were going around this week in advance of this game. So just that extra element. And you also know those players a little bit more. You know where their buttons to press to kind of get that emotion going early in the game. You know their tendencies.
Tight quarters right now. Michigan State throw-in. You saw the Ultras beating the drum in the ear of the Spartan player throwing it in. Damon Rensing talking about the fact that you're going to hear some things about your family this close to the Ultras. Don't let it rattle you. Here's Hallahan, far side. Jones. Mentioned the Ann Arbor kids. Jones from East Lansing always wanted to be a Spartan. If you go to the games, you hear his energetic dad encouraging him the entire game non-stop. I asked DeJuan about that, if that bothers me. He's like, no, I love it. I feed off him. I turn around, I give him thumbs up. Some kids don't like that. He respected it and loved it. Long throw in. Loose. Hallahan. Stevens, right back wearing the captain's armband. Hallahan stays with it, one bounce. It'll pop up on Serta. Stevens, aggressive right back, plays with all kinds of emotion. You can flip his triggers at times, but he is the kind of player that wears his heart on a sleeve. Hard-nosed player, and Shaka Daly said earned that armband for his dedication to the maize and blue.
Did a really nice job there drawing the foul, bailing himself out. Giving the foul there. Maybe bailed Michigan State out a little bit, but you know what? I don't mind that. Early on, set the tone. You're going to have to be smart, right? You got to pick your moments, and that's one of the things that Shaka Daly was talking about. Damon Rensing, they know the guys on their teams that have that temper, have that emotion that need to be contained, but early on in the game as a defender, I think you want to send a little bit of that message. Let guys know when they're going to come in against you, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna know it, and you hope that causes that little bit of hesitation in a key moment later in the game.
There's the work of Pimlott. As Paul Tenorio highlighted his work. He's that piano carrier type player that you've heard forever referenced in soccer.
Take a look here, just doing the dirty work, winning the ball, pushing the guys off. Nice little pass to get things started. Not going to show up in the box score, not going to be the sexy stats everyone wants, the highlight goals, but it's critical in that spot in the number 6 that you're able to do that defensively and then be clean on the ball And every time I see Pimlott play, he stands out for those little things.
Tungu, Big Ten all-freshman team a year ago, an outstanding pair back there with Jimmy Fiskus.
I can tell you right now, Michigan's doing a really good job defensively because you can see the back line looking forward, trying to find those forward players.
Long ball. Not sure if the flag was up or not. I don't think it was based on the look of Krolicki. He may have timed his run perfectly. I don't think the flag was up here, Paul.
And that's what I'm talking about. They've been waiting for this ball. They're going to go a little bit more direct now that that back line is stepping up and able to just drop this ball in. Krolicki times his run perfectly. He's going to want that one back because he realizes, I'm not offsides, I have an empty net, just got to get it over the keeper. Great moment early on for the Spartans.
Ken Krolicki, second team all Big Ten a year ago, 3 goals and 4 assists. Grew up in Japan, did not come over till he was 14 years old. His father American, his mom Japanese. His mom still lives in Japan. His brothers and sisters all over the United States. His dad went to Harvard as a political writer living in Washington, D.C. Came over to the States in 14, didn't know anything about college, let alone college soccer. Ended up in Michigan for his dad's first job. Next thing you know, Damon Rensing came calling, and he's enjoyed his time in East Lansing. Talk about a player that's gotten better every single year. Krolicki is one of them.
Yeah, I was talking to an MLS scout about Krolicki just the other day, doing prep for this game. Really likes the way he's a solid two-way player, gets up and down, clean on the ball, just consistency. And I think, you know, again, that's something that the pro scouts are looking for.
Here is Krolicki. He's trying to earn a corner kick. It was deflected, and the spin will come to Verdi. You know, I asked him about that. He told me that he definitely wants to play at the next level. He said that, to your point, that he doesn't feel like he's on a ton of MLS teams' radar, and he's not quite sure how to change that. Just an honest kid talking candidly about it's not easy to get noticed.
No, it's not. And, you know, this game is still changing in this country, and there are more opportunities now than there ever have been for players to go pro, whether it's in MLS or USL. You have an opportunity. If you're not quite ready to contribute at the MLS level, these teams are now looking at you still because they can sign you and put you on their USL teams, let you play for a year or two and develop and see if you can turn into that solid pro. I think with Krolicki, you know, he's not going to be a winger at the next level. He can play in central midfield. Damon Rensing did say that. That's probably a more realistic spot for him in the pro level. But I think when you're talking about what pros are looking for a big thing for a guy like Ken Krolicki is just making the right decisions and being clean on the ball and then showing the two-way ability as well.
Borges started the play. Osmond's last pass wasn't there. Borges, as we told you, that right-footed left back, but one of the better soccer players in the conference.
He's a kid who nearly ended up at the U20 World Cup for Tab Ramos' side. Pretty cool connection with Tab Ramos, doesn't he?
Yeah, Kearney, New Jersey. That's the original Soccer Town, USA, with Tony Viola, John Hartz, and Tab Ramos. I talked to Borges at practice about that connection. I'll tell you about it in a second. Shot comes across, Sierkowski over the crossbar. And good pressure from Michigan State.
I'll tell you what, you do not see Ryan Sierkowski miss moments like this very often. He is in alone at the back post, uncontested header. And he, frankly, just needs to put this away. Good ball served in, all by himself. He went for that upper corner at the near post instead of going back across the goal and just doesn't get it on frame. You know, talking to Damon Rensing this week, he said, look, the one element we're kind of missing early in this season is getting the goals. We feel like if we start to get the goals coming a little bit more, we're going to be really, really difficult to beat. It starts with Ryan Sierkowski up top. You know, if they can get him rolling and get him scoring, it changes this team. That's a moment he's going to look back on.
The speed of Jones, fastest players in the Big Ten, if not the country, number 6, an out-and-out blazer, trying to earn a corner kick off of Stevens, and he has done it. DeJuan Jones turning into more than just a speedster, turning into a soccer player.
A nice job there. I think Billy Stevens did a really nice job in one-on-one in space. Didn't let Jones get to the end line and get service in. Yeah, he conceded a corner kick, but I think when you're isolated like that on the outside, you've got to be happy if you're Shaka Daly with the way he handled that moment.
Krolicki. Far post. Pretty good ball, far post. Keeping it away from Andrew Verdi. Flying in there for the Spartans was Brad Santala. Remember, he had the winner a year ago in East Lansing to keep the Big Bear there. It came on the bus from Ann Arbor last year. That game's semi-controversial, though. We'll show you that later. An apparent handball not called against Michigan. Damon Renzi not too pleased after that one. He was much more politically neutral on the call this week, though, about that play. As you take a look at Mertz.
Got to move forward after those moments, but it's the way the game goes. You got to know there's that human element to it. Maybe a little less now with VAR at some pro levels, but certainly at the college game, you know, there are going to be these mistakes that happen, and you never get over them, but you got to at least pretend for the sake of your team.
Osmond getting the start. Francis Atuahene on the bench and available. Shaka Daly saying he's fine, he's going to play.
It's good pressure there from Osmond. Not able to get on the end of the ball, but don't let him out easy. Keep him trapped here in the corner now with the throw-in.
Out of bounds. Tristan Jacob, the senior from Ann Arbor, Michigan, had an elbow injury his freshman year, then a hamstring. Fitness came in, totally balled in for his senior year. Going to go out with a bang. Outstanding on all the fitness tests. Shaka Daly has kept him in the lineup. Eventually, that's probably where Serta will come back and sit with Ibarra and Robbie Mertz, but Jacob has worked hard to stay in the lineup. Baroni. Krolicki. Spin back around. Trying to find Sierkowski. Pimlott. Now Corrigan, the left back. Stevens. That's what Stevens does. He just throws his body around. Pimlott in a battle there with Jacob. Foul on Pimlott.
Pimlott saying, hey, that's a little bit soft, don't you think? I put my arm up. Well, you could hear the crowd yelling for the call there. Maybe a little bit of an influence on the ref, but I like what Pimlott's doing. Don't let him turn. Don't let him out easy. Make him play that ball back into the back line. You know you've got your forwards up high already that can press right away. Just a little bit too physical there with the referee 2 yards away.
Michigan building it out of the back. Lars Rackenroad now with the Toronto FC2 program. The Canadian Andre Morris, Evan Laurel, the goalkeeper, and 2 center backs have moved on. Osmond looking for the whistle, doesn't get it. Okay, Paul, as you take a look at Pimlott, deflected away. Robbie Mertz, such a battler. Serta comes back to pick it up. Osmond's just not been able to keep possession. Moment, referee letting him play here. Osmond perhaps trying to do too much. Limited whistles. There's only been 7 fouls total called, 4 against Michigan, 3 against Michigan State. Fairly clean game when you consider we're halfway through the first half. Hallahan, he'll look up. Jacobs in there, so is Serta. Knocked out of bounds off of Michigan State. Corner kick, Michigan.
Well, I'll tell you what, Michigan has been lacking some ideas going forward in the final third, trying to figure out how to break down this Michigan State backline. Right there shows an element that they can get get the ball out wide, find some space on the wing, and serve it into the box. See if you can create something that way. I like the idea there from Michigan as they kind of feel out Michigan State right now.
Bouncing around. Jimmy Fiskus on that play. Told me he was originally recruited by Steve Burns and was thinking Michigan, and then when Steve Burns was let go, by the way, Steve Burns, the former Michigan coach, the original coach when Michigan went varsity after he coached the club team, was the creator of the Big Bear. He was going to Michigan, and then when Steve Burns left, he switched gears and joined Damon Rensing. Hanging around. Call the foul on Serta. Fiskus, by the way, nominated for the Senior Class Student of the Year Award, supply chain management major. Has already done an internship with Owens Corning. Guy is super, super bright.
Nice job by Sierakowski. Win the ball, hold it up. Got to get rid of it at some point.
Kuna just ripped it away. Let's pick up Campbell. Kuna. Jacob down near the end line. Watunga step for step with him, so he'll bring it back. Osmond needs to do something better with the ball. Let's see if he can create something. Heavy touch, knocked down, and he's running out of ideas at the moment. A freshman here on the big stage.
Yeah, you can see here he's trusting his pace to be able to get to the end line, but just a little bit too much of a heavy touch, and I think the freshman is going to start to learn a little bit about college soccer here early on, and you got to keep the ball a little bit tighter. It's not going to be just your physical ability that's going to help you win games at this level. There's got to be a little bit something more. Nice job as well, though, by the Michigan State back line. I think all the way around there, stopping the transition and then good defending on the outside.
Krolicki, and here Shaka Daly barking out instruction. Nice leave there from Santala to Fiskus. Tough pass though from Fiskus. Mertz there. Pimlott. Just enough, the ball and Mertz, to help Michigan State go the other way.
Well, you can see here, 25 minutes in, Sierakowski trying to find the game a bit more. He's checking back a little bit deeper towards midfield to get involved in this game. Probably wanted to do a little bit better with the service to the outside there after winning the ball.
Foul called on Ibada against Sierakowski. Sierakowski coming off that big year, 9 goals a year ago, just 1 goal this year, and that from the penalty spot.
One thing that stood out to me, Damon Rensing said, is that Sierakowski played 90% of the minutes up top alone in a 4-2-3-1. Just shows his impressive level of fitness, his work rate. You know, you don't stay on the field that long if you're not willing to work defensively as well as score goals.
Up ahead of Eagle Serta. Push there from Sierakowski. They're looking for Sierakowski to get going. He's got just 1 goal this year, and that was from the spot.
Well, you count him however you can. Big, big game against an undefeated Bowling Green. You see the penalty kick here drawn. A little stutter step finish. You hope when you see the ball hit the back of the net, it gets you going a little bit, but Sierakowski's already had 1 clear chance in this game and not able to get it on frame, but it's not going to be the last time we see him in front of net today. I can promise you that much. He's just too active of a player. So much runs through him in that target position up top. Very, very talented player. Kid who is a Chicago Fire Academy kid, came over towards the end of his high school career to the Chicago Fire Academy. So, you know, he's a guy who's probably got homegrown aspirations as well.
Stevens, he'll get it right back from Serta, the 2 captains, and then 2 strong. Michigan and Michigan State, the battle of the Big Bear. Dean Linke along with Paul Tenorio. We opened our Big Ten Network season with Michigan, with Maryland and UCLA, arguably the best rivalry in all of college soccer. However, when you talk to Damon Rensing and Shaka Daly in conference, as far as in-conference rivalries, including the ACC, you'll be hard-pressed. You got the Big Bear and everything else for men's college soccer to find a better rivalry than this one.
Look, I just think anytime it's a regional rivalry, we talked about this. You've got kids who grew up together, who played soccer together. You know, when you're from the state of Michigan, you're either on one side of this rivalry or the other. You know, my mom's family's from the Detroit area. I've got half of my family that loves Michigan. The other half went to Michigan State and can't stand it when you show up in the Michigan colors. So, you know, it just adds that extra element. And, you know, we can already see it early on here today. You could see the pace early. Everyone wants to make that impression. Everyone wants to get stuck in on that first tackle or make that first little move. You know, it's hard to match that. Even when you're talking about those old ACC rivalries of when soccer in the ACC was at its best, it just doesn't have that same element to it.
Here comes Jones, trying to cut it back. Looking to keep it alive and cannot get through that brick wall known as Daniel Makuna, the transfer from Campbell. Shaka Daly, though, is gone to his bench. Sir Francis Atuahene has come into the game, as has another big forward, another right to dreamer as you take a look at Francis Atuahene, 2015 breakout year with 10 goals and 3 assists. He is a specimen. Borges pushing forward. Francis Atuahene, according to Ben Pierman, who's the assistant coach from Michigan State, part of that team on the field that won the double in Joe Baum's last year in 2008. He says this player right here, number 10, best player in the country, bar none. What he can do on the field. He said, think about when he came on, he scored those 10 goals. He was 8 times faster than everybody on his own team, or he would have scored 20.
He's a special player. He's a special player. He's got those abilities that can change things. Here he is isolated one-on-one.
Here is Atuahene. That's why Ben Pierman says he's the best player in the country, because it takes 3 players to try to shut down number 10.
Well, I think Michigan in the first 30 minutes or so really was just lacking something up top. They weren't able to get anything going. Now you bring in Atuahene, and suddenly you've got all the pace out on the left side. You've got his size, his ability. You add a different element, and now Michigan State, they've got to be aware of where he is at all times.
This is one of Michigan's weapons, the big throw-in from Borges. The Spartans highlighted the Borges throw-in in their film review. And on the smaller field, he can put it inside the 6, Paul.
You've got to defend it like a corner kick, because that's what it is. If you can get the ball into the box like that and find a target on the near post where it can get flicked on, it becomes very difficult to defend.
All right, Jimmy Haig with those back spasms puts Jones on the near post, Corrigan on the far post, and Jacob with the corner kick. At the 6, still loose. Hallahan to his right. Corrigan gets in the way, it'll roll out of bounds.
Well, we talked about Borges being a right-footed left back. Jack Hallahan is a left-footed right winger playing inverted so he can come inside on his favored left foot to get a look at goal. He's got 2 goals and 2 assists this season. Just another element to the front line for Michigan, his ability to come inside onto that left foot and threaten the goal.
Mohamed Zaki, and there's Atuahene. Atuahene did just enough to win it back. They play it forward to another big freshman. Keep in mind, Atuahene, Zaki, and Umar Farouk Osman, all part of that Right to Dream Academy. And Umar Farouk Osman, as well as Francis Atuahene, grew up in the same hometown in Ghana. So they've known each other for a long, long time.
Well, we've seen the impact of the Right to Dreamers that have come through at the college soccer level and as well as the pros. David Akam with the Chicago Fire, potential Rookie of the Year candidate in Minnesota as well, coming through the Right to Dream Academy. Several players who have made it to MLS. It's just been such a successful program.
Atuahene is on it. Atuahene, you cannot take the ball away from him, folks. With 3 gray jerseys, he's still able to find Zaki. Mohamed Zaki's got Ivo Serta. Late pass, though, Giuseppe Baroni. You should see his brother, Hunter Baroni, come in soon. Talk about a spark off the bench on the other side for Michigan State. Hunter Baroni will provide that.
Well, let's take a look at one of the elements that Tuhani brings. Watch his strength here. He's playing forward, head up, looking for the pass, holding off the defender with his right arm, buying time, and then finding his teammate in space. It's what he's capable of doing right there. It's not all about skill. Sometimes it's about your vision, your strength on the ball. Just adds so much to this Michigan attack.
Ipata. Shaka Daly, longtime coach at Providence. Now in his 6th season at Michigan, has never started a true freshman at that number 6 holding mid as you take a look at Giuseppe Baroni. But there he is, 23 right there. The first time he's ever started a true freshman at that holding mid spot.
Well, you know you trust a kid if you put him in that role, because it's all about being smart, being patient, being good on the ball. That's the most important element of a number 6. You cannot lose the ball. You're in a very susceptible position. And then can you cover ground defensively? A lot of trust in your number 6, especially in this system.
Jimmy Haig, one of 8 starters from the state of Michigan, on the field for Damon Rensing and the Spartans.
I'll tell you, a lot of this game right now being played in the middle of the field. Not a ton of chances happening. Both teams still not able to really break through with anything too clean. The Sierakowski header on the far post, probably the best opportunity in the game so far. And I think both teams are probably saying they want a little bit more going forward. The ball boys, little kids trying to get by before this long throw.
Here is Borges. Snapped out of there. Sierakowski in a battle. Won there by Samake. Now Hallahan had it for a moment. Here's Corrigan. Corrigan's going to tuck inside. Spartans, numbers decent right now. Corrigan thought Jones was making that run down the spine. Instead, he went right side, nobody home. Let's see what Zaki can do. Osmond struggled over on this side. Zaki runs right into trouble there. Zaki dropped over to a Tuaheni. A Tuaheni doesn't need a whole lot of room. Jones helps out.
I think that attack's got to be a little bit quicker with the freshman Zaki. Again, these freshmen are learning a lesson. He's got the step overs. He's trying to do the fake out the defender with the point, pretending that the run is coming. He's going to play a ball to the left, and he comes in on his right. But this is the college level. These defenders have seen that before. I think right there you just want a little bit more decisiveness. Either go with the ball and dribble, or cut inside and lay it off quickly to allow this transition moment to occur.
So there's Hunter Baroni, and if you're keeping track, that means all 4 Baroni brothers have featured prominently over the last several years for the Michigan State Spartans. Mark and Dominic, the twin brothers, were just fantastic during Michigan State's runs. Of course, Damon Rensing has taken Michigan State to 2 Elite Eights in the last 5 years and probably doesn't get enough credit for that. Michelle and Joey Baroni, mom and dad Baroni, are in the house, and here's the deal. Mark Baroni, they just had a baby, and guess what? For the first time ever, they've got some pink in the house, as Melania is just a few months old, and Hunter Baroni telling me that his mom, Michelle, was over the top with excitement. Said they did the crazy unveiling that you do now, where the pink popped out of the box, and she went absolutely bonkers. There's finally a little girl in the Baroni house.
Well, I'm sure she'll have as many coaches as she needs to start her soccer career. There's probably a green phone in the house that goes direct to the Michigan State recruiting office at the Baroni household, I'd imagine.
Yeah, Tom Saxton, the Michigan State women's soccer coach, who, like Damon Rensing, has spent his entire life there as well. He played for Joe Baum and became the assistant, and then took over the women's program when Joe split up duties between men and the women. All 3 of his kids also went to Michigan State. Ties that bind. To a Henny. Good ball. Zaki. Jacob was in his mood. You can hear Shaka say, "Get going, Jack." That's better work by the freshman to hold up.
Well, what stands out to me, too, though, is the defensive recovery of Michigan State's backline. You can see the reason why they've only allowed 1 goal this season. Very quick to get behind the ball there to stop that transition. Hallahan had no space to run into. That's why Zaki had to cut it back and hold it a bit longer. you saw 5 Michigan State defenders getting back behind the ball, all 4 defenders. And then my favorite, that guy right there, Michael Pimlott, to try to slow things down as well. And just very, very good defensive organization from this Michigan State team.
1-0 2 years ago, Michigan. 1-0 last year, Michigan State. So nobody too surprised that you see the zeros up there right now. There's been 0 shots on goal, in fact. 2 shots each.
Well done, good composure there.
Pimlott. Krolicki's got the freedom to go right side, left side. Excellent spin, middle of the field, Santala. Looking for Sierakowski. Paul Tenorio told you about his work rate. He's still in the game. Both Baronis, though, on the field now. Leg is up on Sierakowski.
Yeah, Santala here, let's watch him. Under pressure, gets the ball. Whoop, little turn around to keep things going. Just doesn't pick out the right pass, looking for Sierakowski, but nice bit of skill from Santala there. He had the goal last year. Maybe he steps his game up that little bit more whenever he's up against Michigan. I think right now, just watching the way this game is going, the way Michigan's playing defensively, you know, I think Michigan State, you're going to see them trying to take those chances over the top a little bit more direct when they have the opportunity, because when they're building up through the midfield, Michigan gets a lot of bodies back, especially near the top of that box, making things difficult for Sierakowski to find the ball, Baroni to find the ball. So maybe we'll see the back line when they get a hold of it here, whether it's Fiskus or Corrigan or Tungu, to get their head up and see if they can find one of those runs and get the ball over the top behind that back line right now when they're pushed up a bit.
If you're watching the back line, and they broke this down in film study, they won't let Watunga make that pass. Look, see, he'll drop in. They won't let him make that pass back over to Fiskus, that immediate first pass. So what they were hoping to do is to have Baroni drop all the way back. We'll keep an eye out for that, as the Michigan plan all season long has to use their center forward to break down that connection between the center backs.
Well, you can see the way Michigan State is trying to play. They push, and this is the way modern soccer is going. They're pushing those fullbacks higher up the field. The center backs spread out a little bit to be on the ball more often to start things. And if you can stick a center forward in that space in between, it becomes very dangerous to play and build out of the back.
Corrigan need to find a pocket. It was Sierakowski that time. To a Henny. First touch, now second. Seems to know where Zaki is on the field. Hallahan. So Hallahan, Atuaheni, and Zaki now up front as Santala has slipped back. Serta, rather. Serta, Evo Serta, an unbelievable tackle right there for Serta.
Here's that direct ball.
Too strong for Krolicki.
And I'll tell you what, this referee is letting some things go in this game, and you know, I like that, maybe because I played defender in my day. I like to see a little bit more, but you can see he's trying to draw the foul by turning. I don't mind not calling the foul, but I think as this game goes, the players are getting a feel for the way this game is being called, and you're going to see things change accordingly. So the ref's going to have to keep an eye on that in the second half. But you saw what happened there. Michigan State, when they won the ball, when Michigan was pushing forward, get your head up, play that direct ball. It's there. The space is in behind.
Santala. Push it right side to the transfer, John Freitag. Taken away by Jacob. He's put in a solid shift here. Told you his story. Injured first 3 years on campus, the Ann Arbor native, and came in ready to roll. Bonus pickup, according to Shaka Daly. It's like getting a new player, even though he's been with you the whole time. Atuaheni back to Borges. Nifty move, Jacob looking to find Borges. And there's Jacob doing that work. Oh, and Borges knew he was offside, so he let it go. Too bad. Michigan Ultras will handle this. How about that catch into the drum?
Maybe want a little bit more composure there from Krolicki, checking back. He knows the transition moments are there, so he wanted to turn and hit that one time to keep that pace going and see if they could operate finally in a little bit of space. Maybe needed to just control that, bring it down, and build things out a little bit.
Just to give you an idea of how good defensively Michigan State is, this high-flying Michigan Wolverines team that basically has 5 front runners that could interchange on a dime, they average almost 15 shots per game. Today, just 2 with the Pimlott and crew shutting them down.
I think we're starting a thing here, man. We're starting a Pimlott fan club here on the Big Ten Network. I love it.
Well, I like how you point out players that, yeah, you won't get recognized because they're not pinball machine stat fillers. Pimlott, one of those. Fiscus. Tenacious, strong, smart. Over the years, there's been no team better, in my opinion, at 1-0 victories than Michigan State. Damon Renzi knows how to get it done. He says they keep playing, but then the last 10 minutes, he said, yeah, we manage it. We manage the clock. A win's a win.
You're not going to lose a lot of games if you don't give up goals, right? Your defensive mentality is a winning mentality a lot of the time. You know, if you can find the right players up top, players like Sierakowski, to give you those goals in transition moments.
Hunter Baroni drops it to his brother Giuseppe Baroni. Now racing with it, Mark Antonini. Started quite a few games. Come in and bring all kinds of energy. Ivo Serta, remember he started at center forward. He's more comfortable where he is right now. That back heel coming from Atua Henny. I'll tell you, it's amazing Atua Henny's completion rate on passes when he's usually playing out on that left wing and under all kinds of duress.
I'll tell you, I really like what I've seen from Zachy since he's come in the game. He's done a nice job holding play up, making the right decision most of the time. Had a good impression in this game from the freshman.
Speaking of good impression, you know the story, Paul. You look at 0-0 games and you say ho-hum. Not this one. I mean, we have not even had a shot on goal, but the aggression, the physical play, it's been pretty fantastic.
This is what you get in rivalry games. Nothing's going to come easy, and I think we've seen that on both sides. Defensively, both teams have been very good. I mean, you can see here, you get a little bit of something going forward, and they're quick to close it down, and this is where the goals are going to come. Set pieces, 20 seconds left to get this corner kick in.
Michigan needs to stay disciplined here. 15 seconds, the Spartans send it in. Stevens had a beat on it, the right back. Sends it high, Atua Henny will try to snap it. Final seconds. Zachy's gonna take a shot. Easy for Haig. End to end, Michigan State, the battle for the Big Bear and no score.
Well, as you were just saying, I mean, this is a rivalry game. It's been very difficult to break through on both ends attacking-wise. Michigan State, we knew they were tough defensively. I think Michigan has shown that they also can be very organized in the back. Sierakowski hasn't had a ton to do in this game, but that's how things are going to be, and it's going to be a matter of which team can break through first.
Antonini coming on for Damon Renzi. The Ultras have been out here early. It's standing room only, sitting room only, standing behind the goal only. It's a packed house here, as you would expect, for Michigan and Michigan State, as we're hoping to be joined by the 6-year top man at the Michigan Wolverines, Shaka Daly, and Shaka with the Big Bear, Michigan State. Look, no shots on goal, but this game felt like one of the best rivalries in college soccer. Your thoughts on the first 45, Coach?
Yeah, absolutely. Still very, very tight. You know, both teams aren't giving much. A couple breakdowns maybe for us in the first half. They gave them a few chances, but certainly tight all around, and I'm sure it'll be that way in the second half as well.
Shaka, you talked about wanting to rotate guys in up top. We've seen both freshmen play. Zachy did a nice job. Are you happy with what you're seeing? What do you think you need to do to break down this Michigan State back line?
we certainly have to be a little bit more direct and get it into 1v1 situations and run at them. Not stop the ball when it's in around the final third, kind of keep it moving east-west, force them to defend. If everything's comfortable in front of them, it'll make it an easy day, and we certainly don't want those guys to make it an easy afternoon for the back four.
Shaka, thanks for your access to the team this week. Good luck in the second half. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Shaka Daly. The banner was out for the Wolverines. The Big Bear is out as well. Zeros, though, at halftime. Michigan and Michigan State. Halftime, Ann Arbor, Michigan. University of Michigan Soccer Stadium with the Big Bear on the line. The first time these two teams have met as top 20 teams as well as undefeated teams. And we're joined by the head coach of Michigan State in his 9th season, Damon Rensing, with the Big Bear over your left shoulder. That kind of says it all. No score, but the rivalry really in full force here, Coach.
Yeah, these are two really good teams. I think feeling each other out, not wanting to give up a whole lot. But I thought we did a few good things, and if we can just simplify some stuff, we'll be all right in the second half.
Yeah, Damon, you have to be happy with the defensive organization here on the road, but what do you got to do to get Ryan Sierakowski and Giuseppe Baroni maybe involved a bit more in the final third?
Yeah, I agree. I think once the game settles in, we can reverse the ball in the attacking half a little bit more, and then also we can just simplify some stuff. Michigan is a good pressing team. They put pressure on you, but if you can just, once you break that pressure, simplify and connect passes, I think we're overcomplicating some things in the final third.
Big Bear, front of the bus or back of the bus on its way from East Lansing up here? Where did it sit?
It's all about my seniors. Wherever they want to have it, they can have it if they take it home today.
All right, Damon, thanks for being with us. Good luck in the second half.
Thanks.
Damon Rensing, the head coach of the Michigan State Spartans, needs to get Ryan Sierakowski going. And there it is. So it used to have a blue eye and a green eye, and Steve Burns, who was the head coach for Michigan, started the varsity program, took it to a College Cup final. In fact, Steve Burns is a guy I used to say that you could take the most diehard Ohio State fan and he could turn him in to a Michigan fan. That's how devoted he was to the team. He saw this bear at some roadside place and saw that it had a blue eye and a green eye and took it home, went to Joe Baum and said, hey, we're going to play for this, and it's been going strong ever since.
I love trophies like that. I love stories like that. It just adds something to the rivalry whenever you see these little trophies that come up. They all have a unique story to them, and I think, as we've seen these programs, especially Michigan's, grow up in recent years, this is what you hope for, right? You hope for two ranked teams, two undefeated teams in a rivalry game like this.
A little wear and tear on the Bear. The blue eye and the green eye no longer part of the Big Bear. Baroni.
Well, that means it's been getting passed back and forth a lot, right? So both teams probably happy with the fact that they've been able to beat up the trophy a little bit along the way. Let's see if we can find them some replacement eyes for that Bear.
Yeah, I guess they've tried some marbles or whatever, but that hasn't worked. Looks like Jones is back in. He got to rest the last 10 minutes. Second half underway. Paul Tenorio, I'm Dean Linke. Delighted to be with you here on the Big Ten Network for Michigan and Michigan State. Looks like, Paul, for Michigan, Muhammad Zaki, I think you pointed out he had an effective run there in his late shift of the first half. He stayed in the game, the freshman.
I imagine Shaka Daly was happy with what he saw from the freshman. He gave them a chance to hold the ball a little bit more up top and allowed the midfield and other frontline players to get up in numbers around him. I thought it was a solid shift, and you play well in your substitute appearance, you get a chance to stay on the field.
Here's Shaka Daly saying he felt like it was out of bounds off of Michigan State. Tuaheni. Wow, Tuaheni can't complete that final pass, but work he did in tight quarters right there. Andrew Verdi. So Verdi, part of the Philadelphia Union program, and he was with the USA under-18 team as well, number 1 for Michigan in the blue goalkeeper jersey.
that's a bit more of the preference from Michigan. Be a little bit more direct out of the back. Find your target striker and build out of that. Like he's got good size to him. He can get up. He can win the ball in the air. We saw that he's got some pretty good feet as well. Ultimately, the goal is to find Atua Henne in as much space as possible on that left wing. See if he can change the game.
Robbie Mertz kept alive to Ibarra. Osman also into the game is Shaka Daly, bringing all the weapons. Stevens off the head of Watunga. Haig comes out a little gingerly, actually, and that was not the most aggressive punch right there from Haig. So Umar Farouk, Osman, Atua Henne, and Zaki all in to start the second half for Michigan. So you see Osman, number 7.
Well, that's the benefit of having a lot of weapons you can rotate in. You can mess around with the different combinations, see if one of those combos gives you a little bit of something. And you know, when we spoke with Shaka Daly this week, he said he hadn't had all 4 of those players on the field at the same time. You know, now he has all of them there. Ivo Serta playing that central midfield role where he's most comfortable instead of center forward where he started. You've got Osman now on the right, Atua Henne on the left, and you've got to deal with Zaki in the middle. So, I mean, this is about as good as it gets up front for Michigan, and they're going to see if these 4 can play well together on the field at the same time for the first time this year.
Having said all that, I still feel like you've got to recognize the work that Tristan Jacob did, who's now on the bench, but he's been solid and effective.
Well, listen, it's a different type of lineup, right? When you have those 2 number 8s in front of Ibarra, Mertz, and Jacob, they're a little bit more workmanlike. They'll keep the ball, but you know, very solid defensively, giving you less going forward. Now you have a more attack-minded team on the field. The expectation here is goals. You know, after a first half where Michigan really didn't generate much going forward, they said, okay, what are we going to do to give us a little bit more of a danger, of a threat in the final third? And I think we're seeing their best attacking team on the field right now.
Stevens to Ibarra. Knew where Atua Henne was. Freitag, his first time seeing Atua Henne, was not scared. He took it away. Now Fiskus out of bounds, looking for Jones. You see the dome right there of Shaka Daly, bottom of your screen right there next to Borges. Shaka took this team to the NCAA tournament his first year for the Michigan Wolverines. And who could forget, as we showed you that 10-year flashback, these 2 teams meeting in the Big Ten tournament when it was held in Northwestern. Went to overtime, the wind blowing, and the Spartans won it. Zaki taken down.
Great tackle there by Fiskus rather.
Paul, we talk a lot about Michigan State's defense, so efficient, but Samake and Daniel Makuna in the back have been pretty good as well.
Yeah, they've done a solid job. I think, you know, they've been good on the ball and they've been strong defensively organized.
It'll be tested right here as Mertz comes forward, and here comes Borges. Now, Borges likes to keep going on that right side. Remember, he's a left back that's right-footed, and he's come forward. Now nobody's home now at that left back slot. They're going to have to fill it. Jones, overlapping run from Freitag. Doesn't give it to Freitag. Jones creating his own space. He'll drop it now. Top of the 18. Back over to Freitag. Freitag, nifty move by Atua Henne. Headed out of there. The center backs featuring late Samake. Pimlott. Watunga. Santala, Giuseppe Baroni, nifty move around Ibarra. Borges comes in hard.
Good tackle by Borges, nice step there.
Pimlott into space. Top of the 18, well done, Verdi. Starting to open up a little bit more.
Absolutely, and those are those moments in transition. Really nice job by Pimlott. Have your head up when you win the ball. Try to find your teammate Ken Krolicki in space when you know Michigan's pushed out a little bit and loses it in a bad spot. Look at this tackle by Borges. Really aggressive. That's the jersey in him right there. I don't mind that idea from Baroni. That's what you like about a player like that. You know, talking to Damon Rensing about him, he tries things. You know, he's got that little bit of something that you can't coach, but I really like that aggressive defending there by Michigan as well. A little bit of back and forth happening on here early on in the second half.
You talked about the fact there's some professional scouts here at this game. You mentioned specifically looking at perhaps some Spartan players, but Borges is a player, you know, perhaps as good as anybody, Paul, but he's a player that will get next level looks.
For sure. I mean, this is a kid who's in the Red Bull Academy, and that's a club that loves to bring homegrowns through the system. He's a guy who absolutely could be a homegrown signing for Jesse Marsh and his crew there in New York. A ton of talent at that fullback spot, and it's an area of need, frankly, for the Red Bulls. So if he plays well this season, continues to advance, he could absolutely get a look.
He was 7 years old during the heyday of Tony Meola, John Hartz, and Tab Ramos, and that's an impressionable year. 7 years old. You remember the great football players, basketball players, soccer players, and he would go to American Legion events where they were there, and he and his buddies said they want to do the same thing. And all three of those players played collegiately. Now Borges here at Michigan. It's not like Kearney's a giant town either. I mean, those are some big-time players. Nifty little move by Krolicki, but Jones can't run it down. It'll go out of bounds.
I think that when you talk about towns like this in the country where you see soccer talent coming out consistently, it's about a history. It's about kids growing up wanting to follow in that lineage, right? It becomes a part of the culture, and it's happening all over the place in this country right now. But certainly when you look at guys like Tab Ramos, John Harkes that came out of there, I mean, a lot of people looked up to them, and you know, I think we're going to start to see more and more towns like that pop up around the country, whether it's soccer cities like St. Louis and Chicago or smaller areas in the country.
Krolicki. Giuseppe Baroni. Now Jones ripped away by Mertz. Mertz keeps it on the ground to Osman. Osman and Zaki, those two featured last year in the National High School Boys Soccer Game of the Year. I called it, those two put on a show. It was 4-4, and they were dancing and showboating and doing their thing. 2 years earlier, DeJuan Jones featured in that game, and he also scored a goal.
Good sign for the Big Ten that the guys featuring in that game end up in this conference, huh?
Absolutely. There was another player for Michigan, Austin Swike, a freshman who's on the bench that played in that game. He played against both Zaki and Osman. Here's a Tuaheni. Doesn't need a whole lot of room.
Well, he finally gets on the ball in a bit of space, and that space didn't last long. Closed down by two Michigan State defenders as he tried to rip that shot.
Better work here in the second half by Osman, and as I say that, he had his pocket picked again. That happened a lot in the first half. One of the reasons why he was pulled for his fellow right to dreamers, Zaki Serta. Now Mertz. Mertz can't get there. Don't need a whole lot of space for Francis Tuaheni to score last year against Penn State. How about this one?
Here it is, a late run coming through the far post and a powerful header to the far post. And here's how you follow it up with the celebration. You gotta love it.
Absolutely, you gotta love it. And I know you rate celebrations. I say it matches the number on the back of his jersey.
I like it. I like it. I don't know if I'll give it a 10. Maybe a little backflip thrown in there with that shake and with the shake. I'm a tougher critic than you. Maybe it's because I never got to celebrate. Well, I didn't score enough goals to come up with celebrations.
My philosophy is if a player does something that you can't do, and you can't do that shake right there, he gets a 10 and a whistle there. Tuaheni as Mertz got hit hard. That was Serta, rather. Ivo Serta goes down.
Well, I'll tell you what, this comes on a turnover here. Pimlott loses the ball in a bad spot. A bad bounce into his chest. And Fiskus knows he's got to come through with a strong tackle, just doesn't get enough of the ball. The ref right there to call it. Now a free kick in a dangerous spot.
So Eva Serta, Paul mentioned the international connection on this team. He's actually been training and has trained with the full national team from Chile. He came up with a team as a guest player from Chile in Disney for one of their international cups, and that's where the Michigan Wolverines saw him and knew he was going to be a special player. So it looks like Umar Farouk Osman, Gatorade High School Player of the Year, looks interested here. Borges with his right foot, not on frame.
Yeah, disappointed in that. You can see him putting his hand up. He knows he's got to get that thing on frame, forced to save at the very least. It's at a good distance to be able to get it up over the wall and back down again. And just, you can see he leans back as he hits it. And anytime you lean back and your chest is facing this guy, that's going to put the ball up over the net, over the crossbar, and he'll want that one back.
6 shots now for Michigan, most of them coming here in the second half as Shaka Daly sending out that forward trio that we talked about. However, you can shoot them all day, none are on goal. As you see right there, normally these teams around 5 per game.
Well, you can just see how good defensively both teams have been, limiting real clear opportunities. Been a couple half chances for Michigan State in this game. They have some solid half chances, maybe 2 that you would claim you definitely want at least 1 goal out of those 2 chances, but great one-on-one defending there from Billy Stevens. And we've seen him do that a couple times now in this game.
Sent in! Excellent quick restart for Michigan State. Giuseppe Baroni was lurking over there, but Andrew Verdi was in the right place, didn't have to move very far. Good opportunity for Michigan State, though.
Well, you can see here a quick throw in, gets a little bit of space, gets the cross in, and nice dive by Jones just to get in front of his defender, get a header on it. And there's the first shot on frame today.
Corrigan to Krolicki, and then Jones. Osman. Ibarra. Cleared out of there.
Really good use of his body there. I believe that was Baroni to hold up play, win the ball for the Spartans.
First shot on goal coming from Michigan State's Jones, as you take a look at the baby-faced assassin, Robbie Mertz. Mertz as a junior now, a tri-captain.
Just a student of the game, you know, he does the right things on the field. Good leader for this Michigan team.
Looks like Jones may be coming out. There's Robbie Mertz. Big goal against Indiana to tie the #1 team in the country in Bloomington. This after knocking off Wisconsin at home to start the season. With a win and a tie in Big Ten play. Hunter Baroni is on for Jones. A little different kind of player. Hunter Baroni.
Well, let's take a look at this goal here. Crucial goal against Indiana on the road against the #1 team in the country. Floats the ball in, nice little header over the keep. Just get the top of your head on it and lift it on over. And here, this is what we're talking about with celebrations. 9 for his teammate. I'll give that a solid 6.5. The knee slide in the rain, you need a little bit more distance on it. But you know what? When it didn't work, he converted it into the roll, so that's where that half point comes in.
So Mertz with a 6.5, a Tuaheni with a 9, although I felt critically judged by Paul Tenorio. Sent long from Haig. Great back heel by Baroni. Pimlott getting involved. What a ball over the top. Stevens touched it. Would have been an own goal. Stevens able to slow it down before Krolicki could get there. Pimlott, not just a piano carrier, he was playing some music right there.
Absolutely. Really well done. Look at him get his head up. Nice little chip into the box. Perfect ball. And what a recovery there by Billy Stevens to get in front and prevent a goal here. Just a really smart little play there by Pimlott. He already has 3 assists this season. That would have been his 4th. He's capable of doing more than just sitting in front of that back line. And Krolicki knows he was so close to giving him that opportunity to break this game open.
Meanwhile, Billy Stevens, number 4, a tri-captain. I think he would even admit over the last 3 years, people considered him maybe a dirty player. But Shaka Daly said this guy wears it on his sleeve, and he's turned into a leader. And you already said it, Paul Tenorio, his 1v1 defending has been phenomenal. It might be time to start giving him credit for being a pretty good soccer player.
Yeah, you know, he's a hard-nosed kid, right? I mean, that's how Shaka Daly described him. He doesn't mind doing the dirty work. He doesn't mind getting stuck in on tackles. But then you can see when he's in space one-on-one, he closes out really well. And there, a fantastic recovery run to make a sliding tackle at the absolute last second and a needed moment there for Michigan. He's played very well today, Billy Stevens. Another New York kid, by the way, spent 2 years with the Red Bull Academy as well.
So Billy Stevens had his share of seeing some yellow cards over the years, but clean game today, and perhaps no bigger play than the one he just made to stop Krolicki after that great pass. Zaki is going to square it. Tunga taken away, middle of the field. Ibata, freshman from Ann Arbor. There's Sierakowski. That's that work rate that Damon Renzi said you can't take the kid off. He does that kind of work defensively. Borges able to handle Baroni. Pimlott on the turn around. Atua Henny will win it.
Well, I'll tell you, Ibarra needs to play quicker there. Gets on the ball, thinks he has time and space. It just doesn't exist in college soccer, and especially not a rivalry game like this.
So Hunter Baroni into the game, playing with his brother Giuseppe. Told you mom and dad already in the house. I think Mark and Dominic might be here with Giuseppe and Hunter's niece. 24 minutes and change here remaining. Pimlott. Now, when you take a look at Michigan State, knowing that they're going against basically 4-1-2-3, Michigan State, they sit those 2 holding mids, as you see the ultras there, then the 3 attacking players with Sierakowski. And that was a great look at Pimlott, because in the film study, Ben Pierman, K.O. Wasserman, Damon Renzi, the coaching staff from Michigan State, said to look before you get the ball, right? To know where that next pass is going, and you're starting to see that in the second half.
Well, look, he takes that glance over his shoulder. That's a requirement in central midfield, but you know, you've got to have an idea of where that ball is going to go, and you've got to know where those runs are. He put the ball into space there. No one was there, and I think, you know, those are the moments where, yes, you might want to push this game forward, but if the ball's not there, don't be afraid to cut it back, play it back through your back line, recycle the ball, and build up again. And you know, these are the little moments that they want to keep seeing Michael Pimlott improve on the ball, improve in his decision-making.
Fiskus, Sierakowski, Freitag. And looked like the hand there of Makuna got up in the air. Freitag goes down, and he'll earn that whistle.
Smart play by Freitag. He understands. He knows that that hand goes up, and the linesman's right there. He goes for the little wrap here, and there it is. The hand catches him right in the face, and linesman gets it right. It's a free kick in a dangerous spot. We'll see if they can get good service in to the box here.
Fouls now at 20, 11 for Michigan, 9 for Michigan State. John Freitag, really the only starter leaving was Dewey Lewis. Gotta love that name, by the way. It's one of the best names in Big Ten soccer has moved on. Dewey Lewis in the news.
He's on tour now.
Free kick opportunity. Pinging around, loose. Baroni. That was Hunter Baroni. Osman. Now these attacking players with flair. Muhammad, the two freshmen. What a ball back to Osman. Osman in front to Mertz. It was Osman to Mertz to tie it against Indiana.
So much goes right in this transition attack, and then the final ball is just not there. Starts here, quick little turn by Osman in midfield. Gets it to Zaki, makes the overlapping run. Great ball in by Zaki, and then here, you need this ball to be whipped in. Just can't get enough on it. Michigan State does well to clear.
Corner kick taken by Osman, looking for Ibada. And if you were wondering if Michigan soccer is back, take a look at number 7, take a look at number 9. Tuaheni is still here. Michigan Wolverines soccer is back.
Hey, they have a chance to be an exciting brand of soccer. When they get out and running in transition like that, that's where they can beat teams. They got a lot of pace up top. And you saw there, not a ton of space needed. You just need to be able to turn and run at these defenders, make the right decisions, and then if you can get those late runs into the box as well, it becomes the next bit of that attack, whether it's Ivo Cerdo or Jacob or whoever else making those late runs in. There are going to be some opportunities here, and the more these young kids play together up top, the more you're going to see that connection grow. I know they know each other for a long time, but as they develop an understanding for the college game and the college level, I think you're only going to see those moments increase as the season wears on.
Stevens. Osman. Step overs when you don't even need them. Left foot. No problem for Hay.
I think what Osman was doing with those step overs, trying to get his balance right. He knows he's going to cut it back, get his feet in the right position, come back onto that left foot.
Hunter Baroni. He's become the super sub for Damon Rensing. Drops it to his brother Giuseppe. Giuseppe just a little bit off.
It just hasn't been clean for Michigan State going forward. You know, I don't know if it's that they seemed rushed. You kind of heard Damon Rensing talking about that, being patient, picking the right pass. It just hasn't been there. There's been nothing, clean is the right word to use, about Michigan State going forward. And you know, they need somebody that's going to step up and calm this game down, whether it's Sierkowski dropping to get on the ball a little bit more as a target striker, whether it's Baroni just calming himself down, Giuseppe that is. They need to be able to kind of slow things down as they go forward and make the right decisions, make the right passes. And you know, we've seen when they have these moments where they get players forward overlapping and serve balls into the box, they've had a couple dangerous moments, but there are some wasted possessions here as well.
For the first time ever in the history of this great rivalry, both teams enter ranked in the top 20. It's the first time Michigan, Michigan Soccer Stadium has hosted a ranked opponent in the regular season since 2010. Left side. That is with Michigan also being ranked. Obviously, Michigan ranked and the opponent being ranked is a whistle here. Player down for Michigan. And
to replace a center back is a big deal. There's a lot of communication that occurs in order to be organized on that back line, to get to know each other's tendencies and the strengths and the weaknesses. So we'll see if that has an impact here in these final 19 minutes.
Long ball forward. Spartans now going to the bench as well. Beckett. 21 will get a run here for Damon Rensing.
There's a little bit of a rule in soccer. When you come in off the bench cold and unexpected, the ball seems to find you right away. Nice job there by Brown to answer the call right away, one-on-one, make a nice little tackle, quit himself well in his first few seconds on the field.
Zaki. Serta. Give and go from Robbie Mertz. Two captains, Hallahan, who back on there. Talk about the interchanging of those 5 front runners. Hallahan's another key part of that.
What's interesting is that they have Hallahan on the left now. We talked earlier, he was playing on the right as an inverted winger coming inside onto that left foot. Now he's on the left here. Maybe they're looking to be able to get some crosses into the box. More natural for him to be able to take it down the left-hand side and get crosses into the box to try to create something there.
Callahan, number 11, played for the Irish U18 and U19 programs. Zaki will knock it out of bounds. Daniel Makuna has left the game with that injury. Peter Brown is in. Brown played some alongside Lars Eckenrode a year ago. He's now with Toronto FC 2, and we understand he's in the house. Gorgeous Lars Eckenrode with the Ultras. How about that?
Well, you can see he's still fit. He's enjoying himself. It's nice when you're able to come back as a fan, get involved. I'll tell you what, I actually covered Lars Eckenrode playing high school soccer. He was a kid who had a huge growth spurt in his high school years and went from being a midfielder to a big center back and now trying to make it as a professional.
Ibarra with the corner kick. Fiskus timed that one perfectly. Hallahan trying to create his own space. Pinging around it. Michigan State defending in numbers. Out of bounds off of Umar Farouk Osman. And there's Stevens coming in a little reckless. Oh my, and he's gonna get a red card. Boy, we just got done talking about the fact that he brings all of that fire. His foot got up high. And a red card for Stevens. And now we're seeing some pushing and shoving. Straight red for Stevens in such a big game.
Well, listen, I mean, you can see the elements of the rivalry, and it's happening right here in front of the referee. I'd like to see a replay of this. He does get his boot up high. I'm not sure if he connects. This could be a harsh red, but anytime you get your boot up, you're putting yourself in a dangerous spot. Usually you see a yellow for it unless it's a really, really blatant case, and have to take a look back at this replay. But I mean, the fact that it's happening right in front of the student section isn't going to make this post-red card melee any easier to deal with if you're the referees. Trying to calm down the emotions here. Michigan State defending its teammate. You see here, he sees the ball coming, he's looking at the ball, gets his boot up. And for me, it's a tough red card to give out. I mean, he's going to flick the ball. Does he catch him in the face, or?
I don't think so.
Hard to see from that angle, but it looks like he catches the ball and the ball hits the face. I think, for me, I think it's a harsh red. But, anytime you're getting your boot up, you're putting yourself in a difficult position. You're giving the ref an opportunity to reach for the pocket, and he was really quick. Very decisive to go to the back pocket for the red. No second thought at all. It was tough to see that replay, but it's a tough decision to make there.
Keep an eye on his arms as well. Giuseppe Baroni comes over. His arm may have hit his head, and his leg was...
The foot definitely, you can see in that angle, got the ball. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, the elbow's not leading either. For me, that's a tough red card to give out. I mean, certainly a dangerous play. You can see he says, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, it's a dangerous play, of course. Anytime you bring your foot up, it's an indirect kick is what it is, and a yellow card for dangerous play in my mind. I think a red card is harsh, frankly.
Well, Paul, you've been around the game long enough. You know that there's what's called reputation cards, right? And we just talked about the fact that Stevens had cleaned it up a little bit and turning into a soccer player, but that could be a reputation card as well. And Baroni, give him credit. If Stevens' arm did not hit him in the head, he certainly made it look the part, right?
Well, the ball certainly caught him in the head. I'm not sure if the toe did, but he knew that foot was there too, and I think you react when you feel any kind of contact up there at all when you know a cleat's coming. I mean, there's a reason why it's a quick card when you have your cleats up that high. It's incredibly dangerous if you catch a cleat in the eye or in the face. Again, I'm not sure it was a red card offense, but I understand why the ref was quick to go to his pocket there, especially if he thinks contact was made. But I just think it was a bit harsh, and You know, now Michigan at home is going to have to be very, very smart, defensively organized here. You know, they've already lost the starting center back. Now they're down a man and down a right back as well. So, you know, how are they going to play here in this final 15 minutes?
So Michigan, Jackson Reagan, freshman from Seattle, has come in, I believe, as part of the reshaping of the team. Down a man. Osman over to Mertz.
Well, we'll see, too, how Michigan State reacts to this red. Do they pick up the tempo? Do they start to really push the game as much as they can to find a winner here in the final 14 minutes? We can see Michigan here. They're dropping off to the midway line. They're not going to press until Michigan State crosses that halfway point.
Good turn from Pimlott. Center of the field. Sierakowski on the bench. He might have been a better target, but he's getting ready to come back in. Next opportunity for Damon Renzi. Now Michigan State up a man as Billy Stevens sent off with a straight red. So the change made by Shaka Daly. Jackson Reagan, 6'5" freshman who is actually more of a holding mid. He is a presence in the middle of the field. Looked amazing in practice in Ann Arbor this week, Paul. I mean, he stands out like a sore thumb in the middle of the park at 6'5". He's playing center back right now as they adjust to Stevens being sent off. Serta runs into trouble. But give Michigan credit, despite being down a man, they're still attacking. Krolicki, Hunter Baroni. Not the first time there's been some controversial calls or non-calls. 2 years ago, this call didn't happen.
I mean, look at that handball. That's called a no-doubter right there. Keeps the ball from going on net. That's one of those when you see the reaction right away in the box from somebody, you know there's a legit handball there, and no doubt. I mean, he sticks his arm out. No whistle on that one, no penalty on that one.
That was Krolicki with the shot, and obviously Damon Renzi fired up after that game as Michigan would hang on to their 1-0 win. Corner kick, Michigan State.
I'll tell you what, Michigan State, they're going to want to be patient. They're going to want to build up a little bit. Don't go too direct here. But even down a man, as Michigan State pushes this game, they have to be careful. Don't forget about the pace that Michigan has going forward in transition. If you're pushing your fullbacks forward in the attack, you're pushing numbers forward, you're also opening up space on the back end for Osman, for Atsuaheni if he comes back in, for Zaki. I mean, there is danger there in transition still for Michigan.
So not only did Michigan lose Stevens to the red card, if you're just joining us, Daniel Makuna, the outstanding center back who's been extremely effective with Samaki, went out with what looked like some major damage to his left shoulder as he was cringing in pain. Michigan State going to make another change, so you don't just lose one of your back four, you lose two. And you play a man down. There's Krolicki. It was his shot that we just showed you 2 years ago that was without question a handball that was missed by the referee. The referee going straight red to Stevens. What do you think? Maybe just a little bit too quick? What do you think, Paul?
You know, it's so tough when something happens that quickly. I think the referee felt that there was a no doubt that the foot caught the face, and I understand why a red card comes out in that instance. You know, maybe it's the defender in me. I tend to side thinking it maybe should have been a yellow, but, you know, for me, I didn't see the intent there. Not that intent has anything to do with the rule, but I also didn't see contact. I thought he was able to catch the ball. Got to be careful in those moments, but maybe not a red.
Freitag thought he was going to go ahead and serve it in with his right foot. Instead, he dropped it to Jones. As Damon Renzi now with that man advantage, bringing in multiple offensive weapons, and Jones in a little tussle there with Samake.
I think that's Makuna that's come back into the game, if I'm not mistaken, and
Oh,
it is.
nice.
The big man's back in and right away gets physical, and I think I saw a little bump on Jones after the play to send a message, hey, buddy, you're not going to get around me like that. You can see how serious he is right now coming back into this game, knowing he's got 10 minutes playing down a man to try to close this game out.
That is outstanding to see Makuna back in there. You wonder if they readjusted it, popped it back in as well, as you saw it hit hard. So that is big for Shaka Daly and Michigan. As Stevens out, but Makuna back in.
Wonderful stuff there initially from Zaki, bringing that ball down with guys around him to control it and keep the ball for a second there. Michigan loses it shortly after, but really been impressed what I've seen with this kid.
Mertz still going in hard.
Great pressure from Mertz. This late in the game to be running that much, knowing you're down a man, knowing you're gonna have to make a lot of recovery runs. He's still pressing hard in midfield.
Freitag. Dropped off perfectly to Sierakowski. Sierakowski. As Paul told you, back into the game, Makuna. No problem for Andrew Verdi.
You know, right there is a case right there where you want Sierakowski to hit that cross one time. I thought Freitag did a great job, drove the ball forward at the back line, make them make a decision. They had to come to the man. That left Sierakowski on the outside to play that ball in, whip that cross in one time. Instead, he tries to take on Makuna one-on-one. The center back does a nice job to stand him up and force an easier ball to deal with in the box.
So to totally set you straight here, Makuna back in. Now Brown has gone over to that right back position where Stevens has left because of the red card. So Samake, Makuna, Brown, and Borges! Jones' flag is up though anyway, as Verdi was there.
Nice little combination and good movement around the box by Jones. Sierakowski gets on the ball here. Nice little quick turn, sees the run, plays it through. Nearly there, just a little bit off on the timing. Michigan's line doing a good job to hold. And Jones a step offside.
Jones, the defensive player of the week. Michigan State 2 shots on goal, Michigan none. Michigan State now playing with that man advantage. Santala had the winner last year in East Lansing, a game that Shaka Daly felt like Michigan had more of the play. And a whistle and a foul against Michigan State.
Santala picking up a yellow there. He knew he had to do it. Tactical foul. Osman getting on the ball with that kind of speed and no one behind him. Santala does the smart thing, grabs him, holds him up. He'll take the yellow card, and he saw him nod at the ref and say, I know, I know. Right here, he just grabs a hold of him and says, nope, sorry, can't let you go.
So Santala, senior from Grosse Pointe Woods, goal and assist last year. He's matched those numbers already this year. So his only goal last year came against the Michigan Wolverines. For the Wolverines.
Tell you what, Michigan catching no breaks on the back line right now. Red card, an injury, now another injury at left back. This is where the depth of your team is tested, and here's a big moment to come into the game.
It'll be Noah Kleitke.
6.5 minutes left, and got to hold on, try to get a result. Maybe you can steal a win, but certainly want to at least hold on to this draw.
Ibada. Paul, give Michigan credit. They went down a man, and make it clear, there was no bunker. Not even close to a bunker here for Michigan.
I'll tell you, they've got the talent and the speed to get out and transition and run. I think they've done a nice job.
Kleitke, long throw in. They'll go off the head of Makuna, as we said, back in there after what looked like a pretty major shoulder injury. Tough kid, number 6.
And he's come in and he's been very good right away. You can still kind of holding that arm gingerly. You can see there he's still feeling it for sure. But he's come in, he's toughed it out. He's made a couple key tackles since he's been back in this game.
So Kleedke into the game, a transfer from Case Western University. Coming back home, though, he's from Brighton, Michigan. Seppi Baroni. Jones, perfectly timed run. It's Kleedke on him. Jones back in, dancing with it. And Kleedke will clear it long. Freitag back to Jones. Perfect one touch to Baroni. Kleedke. Shaka Daly telling us that the depth on this year's team much better. He could go down to Brown and Kleedke and keep on going and feel good about it, and you're seeing that here. Meanwhile, Jacob has checked back in. You see a Tuaheni as well, number 10, in the game here for these final 6 minutes. Michigan State with a man advantage.
Well, here's those moments. The first task is to be good defensively, but here, can we get out and run? Here, you got space now.
Tuaheni with that great pass to Osman. Osman sometimes tries to do too much, staying with it with Jones all over him. Looks like he's being fouled. He stays with it. They'll play advantage. Tuaheni drops it down. How does he even bring that ball out of the air?
I'll tell you what, I tore my hamstring just watching him do that. But this is what I'm talking about with Michigan. In transition moments, yes, your first task is defensive, but as soon as you win the ball, get out and run. Osman doing a good job and tries to find it to Tuaheni just a little bit long. He tries to bring it down with their right foot. Fiskus does a good job to be over there and clean it up.
Nice respect, Fiskus to Tuaheni. Here's Kleedke. Looking for Robbie Mertz. It's fair to say that it looks like Michigan State is the team playing a man down, but that's not the case.
Well, this is, we talked about this when the red card came out. Michigan, because of the talent they have up top, the speed, the athleticism, the skillfulness of these players, they're going to have their opportunity still because Michigan State's going to push numbers forward, right? They have a man advantage. They know they have a chance to get a goal here. But whenever you're pushing numbers forward, that's opening up space in behind you in transition. And Michigan is taking advantage of those moments. They can be very, very dangerous here.
Sierakowski. Samake, first on Sierakowski. Jones was on the right side, now he's on the left and cleared out of there by Brown.
Well, what you want to do if you're Michigan State here is create as many overloads as you can. That means bringing those fullbacks forward and trying to give yourself 2v1 on the outside or 3v2.
Great look from the other side of the goal here at a sold-out Michigan soccer stadium. Nifty move inside, Hunter Baroni runs right into Kleedke. Getting a major run right now. As Borges still out, Baroni calling for it. Baroni, nifty move. It's Hunter Baroni over to his brother. And here, Michigan sand off.
Look at Baroni here. He turns like he's gonna go right, whoop, come back inside to the left and tries to curl it far post. Nice job by Kleedke to stay with that, not allow a shot on goal. Michigan still hasn't allowed a shot on goal since the red card came out, so they're doing a solid job defensively. Down a man here.
Yeah, Michigan playing with 10 men, but Kleedke coming on for Borges. As it's been musical chairs with that back line because of injuries and a red card. Getting it done. Shaka Daly, you can see him coaching the youngsters. All three right to Dreamers are on the field right now. Number 7, Osman. Number 10, Tuaheni right in front of him. And Zaki, number 9, who's going to get it right now. That's Jacob, rather. In front of him is Zaki. Here's Mertz. The Ultras still making some noise. Jones probably doesn't get enough credit for his defensive work. Work by Osman to come back, and now the whistle. Giuseppe Baroni, as you see Samake out with a foot injury a year ago, or he would have been playing last year, according to Shaka Daly.
Montreal Impact Academy kid, came over from Mali, moved to Canada at age 7. Michigan seeing if they can steal something here in the last minute, down a man at home.
Noah Kleedke. Osman, different player here in the second half. And remember, it was his run down that right side, dropped it perfectly with just world-class touch to Mertz for the tie against Indiana. Jones, corner kick Michigan, 30 seconds remaining here. So all hands on deck, a lot of gray jerseys gonna be around Jimmy Haig. Jones will take the near post, Corrigan the far post. Jacob, the senior, getting his shot here, calm. He's gonna serve it in. Jacob, far post. Oh, Tuaheni, I think, just missed it. 6 seconds remaining, Kleedke sends it in. And why not overtime soccer here for the Big Bear? Let's take a look at that corner. I think Tuaheni almost got to it.
He was not too far away. Good ball in, just narrowly late to that. I mean, that's a fantastic ball. And Michigan nearly found the winner in the final seconds there.
Michigan 0, Michigan State 0.
Even the Ultras need a break. They've been on their feet for 90 minutes. It's hot right there, as you see the sweat dripping off of Osman. Michigan's been playing a man down, but looking strong. The Big Bear is on the line, and it'll take overtime soccer to see who gets it. Michigan State and Michigan, a good one in Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, Michigan is the place to be. An absolutely picture-perfect day. Chamber of Commerce postcard and bonus soccer coverage. The Michigan Ultras, they've been on their feet all day long. They're even wiped out. But they're going to have to get back up as we're going to overtime to see who's going to win the Big Bear. Right now it belongs to Michigan State, and these young Wolverines fans would like to go get it. They're playing, though, a man down. Alongside Paul Tenorio, I'm Dean Linke, and Michigan with that red card to Billy Stevens. A quick red from the referee.
Well, we see here, Billy Stevens going for the ball, brings his foot up high, and you can just see the way the contact happens, how quickly Baroni goes down. It looks really, really bad, and the ref quick to come out with the red card. And, you know, again, when you watch it slow down on the replay, you say to yourself, did he get the ball? Did he get the face? I'm not quite sure, but when you see it in full speed like that, it looked like a violent collision. I understand why the referee went to the back pocket. I think also Billy Stevens has to be smarter in those moments. You can't get your foot up. You know, he wants to win the ball there, but he's putting himself in a position where the referee can go to the pocket. And you know, Shaka Daly might be going to those fans asking if any of them can play on the back line, because they've been rotating guys out a ton with injuries as well as that red card.
Lars Eckenrode played on that back line for years for Shaka Daly. He's in the house.
Well, that's the guy they got to pull out, but I think he's done with his eligibility. Huh?
Up. Stevens, I feel bad for him, the senior, playing in his fourth and final battle of the Big Bear. Shaka Daly, though, making some solid adjustments, going to that depth. Jackson Reagan, 25, and Andrew Verdi. There's Jimmy Fiskus. Continues to lock it down. They've only allowed 1 goal in 6 games all season. And now they're going to try to shut down a team that has just 10 players in Michigan. Krolicki, featured 2 years ago, was his shot that was held by the handball.
Well, it's worth noting, you know, Daniel Makuna came back in after hurting his left shoulder early in the game, but at the break, at the end of regulation here before overtime, it looked like he got pulled once again, just not able to stay on the field with what looked like a very painful shoulder injury. So they'll be without Makuna again in the middle of that back line. And credit to him. He came back into the game clearly still in pain, made a couple really big tackles. And as you noted, shuffling again on that back line with Jackson Reagan stepping back into the lineup.
Brad Santala, the hero last year in East Lansing, as they had a packed house at DeMartin Stadium. Overtime soccer, the first overtime match of the year for Michigan State. Michigan has played 2 other overtimes, and they've gone final with ties. So Michigan with 2 ties and 2 overtimes. Michigan State's first. Michigan playing with 10 men. Alongside Paul Tenorio, I'm Dean Linke.
Well, I'm just taking a look at what Shaka Daly came out with here to start overtime, and it looks like he's got all of that speed up top. The 3 right to Dreamers playing on the front line, I believe. Or no, it looks like maybe, yeah, Tua Henny's still out there. So, knowing that all you need is 1 goal here, they're opening up that transition even down a man. Michigan State's going to have to be very careful with how they push their numbers forward.
Sierakowski drifted out right, but it was the freshman Reagan. So Jacob into the game. Serta's still there. See Osman, number 7. And Tua Henny. Not sure if Zaki's in there right now. We'll confirm that. Corrigan. Mertz.
Yeah, I think you're right. Looks like Zaki's not in, so you sacrifice that target up top, but what you do put in is the speed. You got 2 quicker forwards up top and a little bit more well-suited to get out and run in the transition. Because I think we're going to see a lot of this. Michigan State on the ball.
Flip from behind. Robbie Mertz, Pennsylvania State Player of the Year, Sierakowski, getting busy here in overtime.
Well, I love that look from Mertz back to the referee with his hand down. What'd I do? He knew he had to make that tackle there. Sierakowski turning, facing the back line with runners around him. It was a dangerous opportunity. This free kick is in a spot here where if you can drop that ball in where it's coming down right around that penalty spot into the mixer, a lot of bad things can happen for Michigan.
Corrigan with the left foot, right to Verdi.
And honestly, I think that's what Verdi preferred. He would have liked a shot on goal from that distance rather than a ball put into the mixer.
All right, Paul Tenorio, we saw Michigan lose Stevens and keep pressing as if they've actually added a guy. Now, go to overtime. It's still hot here. You got the emotion of the Big Bear sitting over there. And by the way, if it ends in a tie, Michigan State will keep the Big Bear, for those of you wondering. Did Shaka change anything in his message, or do you think with those speeches up top, he said, go get it?
No, I think you pick your moments of when you're going to press. I mean, they'll let them have the ball here. You can see him dropping off. And now at this point, this is when you start to press. As soon as the ball crosses midfield, you push with numbers, 1 or 2 guys, try to close it out real quick and see if you can win the ball in a bad spot in transition. You don't want to waste your forwards' energy running and pressing defensively until those key moments. So I think that's probably been the message from Shaka Daly. Be smart of when you press, but don't be afraid to get after it a little bit. And then when you win the ball, get your head up quickly and look to play that ball into space to let Osman run onto it, let Tua Henny run onto it.
First overtime, Hunter Baroni. He doesn't start, but he plays a ton of minutes. Number 7 with his brother Giuseppe Baroni. Fiskus. Think about great center backs at Michigan State. Hard to forget Kevin Cope playing with those broken ribs a few years back in the Big Ten tournament in Columbus, Ohio.
Well, I can tell you one adjustment Damon Rensing made here. Michael Pimlott came out more of a defensive-minded player, and we see Ken Krolicki playing in the central midfield position. So just another attacking piece on the field. It gives you a little bit more creativity going forward now.
All part of that man advantage tactical moves here for both teams.
You can see the defensive lines of Michigan, everyone back behind the ball right now.
Wolverines playing with 10 men. The right back, Billy Stevens, a fiery player, not his first red card.
Jones is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive coming back to that ball.
Borges is back in. He just put his hand to his back, though. And Osman earning the foul against Santala. Keep in mind, I think Santala got a yellow card earlier.
See, Jones is checking back to the ball, but he's got to do so with more pace. He's got to know he's got a defender there. Comes back a little lackadaisical and allows Michigan to win the ball and get out in transition. Santala did grab a yellow there. It looks like it might have been Corrigan, actually, that got the yellow.
That was the key there.
That Corrigan got the yellow and not Santala.
Yeah. So yellow card. That is big. Going to number 16, Corrigan, not Santala. Ball sent in. Borges back into the game as well. Remember, he left with 10+ minutes remaining in the first half.
Well defended there. They know that Borges wants to come back in on that right foot to serve the cross.
That was a key point of the breakdown yesterday in East Lansing before they got on the bus. They decided to wait till well after the Michigan football fans were gone before they made the 1-hour trip to Ann Arbor. Jacob, marked by Fiskus. Tua Henny is in there, but it'll go right to Haig.
You can see what people like in Fiskus. Very athletic for a center back, gets out, defends well in space. Second team All Big Ten last year. He's a multi-year captain. He's the emotional leader of this team for sure. I think he's had a really nice game here today rather.
Fiskus could win that Senior of the Year, given for leadership, extracurricular, and athleticism. And Baroni with a hard foul on Samake. Montreal Impact. Samake. Osman to Zaki. Bumped off the ball by Jones. Robbie Mertz steps in. Back to Mertz. Mertz trying to stay with it. Held up by Corrigan. So Santala does have a yellow. Hunter Baroni has a yellow, and Corrigan has a yellow. And it was Santala and Corrigan that put the sandwich right there on Mertz.
Those are those moments Michigan State has to be careful. Can't give the ball away cheaply at that point in the field. Lucky not to have give away more to Michigan there in a transition moment.
Yeah, that's a foul on the captain from Chile, Ivo Cerda. As Mark Antonini's come back in. As Cerda started at center forward, much more comfortable in the midfield.
See Krolicki getting on the ball. It's one thing you gotta like about playing him in central midfield. He finds the ball a lot more. Ooh, it's a rough tackle.
Foul against Michigan. Good look at Mark Antonini.
Peter Brown lucky not to go into the book for that one.
Peter Brown, reliable backup in that back line for Shaka Daly. Mark Antonini started quite a few games this year. Pretty good right foot, flicking around, loose Corrigan, running onto it. Brown perhaps got in the way just enough, but over the crossbar for the Fishers Indiana native.
Well, here's what you're missing when you lose your starting 2 center backs, big guys that win balls in the air. Ball drops down into the box, no one wins it. And Corrigan, if he just keeps that low, that's probably in the back of the net. That's where you start to see the impact of so many people coming out. And you can hear them talking to each other, 18, 18, trying to keep the line on the 18. And then you look at the picture, no one's staying on the 18. It's just tough to be organized when you're trading out 3, 4 starters on a back line in the midst of a game.
Of course, Corrigan left-footed. We saw his left foot on that free kick. He had to take that one with his right. Osman. Umar Farouk Osman. If there's one flaw in the youngster's game, is it's perhaps too many dribbles with his head down. He'll correct that. Seppi Baroni, pretty nifty. Giant freshman Jackson Reagan knocking it out of bounds. 40 seconds remaining. Both center backs out for Michigan right now. Injured Jones! And Michigan State will keep the Big Bear.
Talked about it just a minute ago. The free kick that went into the box, you could see losing those 2 big center backs, how it hurt Michigan's back line. And another set piece, this time a long throw in. No one there to win the header. It drops down into the box again, and DeJuan Jones with a huge goal to give Michigan State the win. Let's take a look at it. Here's the long throw in. Up they go, and no one wins the header. I think it was, who was it that won the header there for Michigan State? Nice job by Jimmy Fiskus. Gets up to win that header, and that's a nightmare if you're a goalkeeper, if you're a defender. You don't want the ball bouncing in your box on a set piece. What happens, Fiskus gets up, gets that header down to keep things alive in the box, and DeJuan Jones finishes it. And for me, that's all about the changes that have had to happen on this back line because of injury for Michigan. And allows that trophy right there to stay in East Lansing.
They won it 1-0 last year. Sierakowski with the flick over to Santala. And they win it this year. Fiskus, the senior, with the flick to East Lansing's own DeJuan Jones. 3rd year in a row, another 1-0 game in the Big Bear. Came from East Lansing up to Ann Arbor. And it's going to come back to East Lansing from Ann Arbor.
If you're Michigan, I think there's still things that you can take away from this game as a positive. The way they battled down a man for the final part of this game, they still had some good moments, and a very, very difficult loss, but a tough way to go down.